Hello, everybody. Well, what do you think about Amanda Knox being a free woman? I think it is wonderful. I never thought she was guilty at all. And I was just so happy. I was watching it on breaking news when they overturned her appeal. I was just so thrilled and excited for her. Amanda Knox was deemed Foxy Knoxy 4 years ago when she was arrested in Italy and charged with the murder of her roommate Meredith Kircher in their apartment. Her and her boyfriend at the time, Raphael, were both charged when the prosecution tried to say that it was wild sex games that had gone bad. Meredith had not wanted to play their sadistic sexual games, and they murdered her for that reason, which all turned out to be false. And there was a man, however, he was a drifter, who admitted that he went into the home and that he murdered Meredith. And he is serving time in an Italian prison. However, they still kept Amanda and Raphael and held them for 4 years. They were both convicted of the murder of Meredith Kircher. She appealed it and won her appeal. So she is now back home in Seattle, Washington. And I watched when the plane landed the other night. She did make a little speech, and she was practically crying, and she was just, you know that's tears of joy and everything. She learned how to speak fluent Italian so that she could communicate with people over there. But she's going to be an extremely wealthy woman. There's going to be movie deals, book deals, talk shows, just everything. She will be extremely wealthy. But that still is not going to make up for the 4 years of her life that she lost in that Italian prison, where she's going to have flashbacks and nightmares and everything else, because and I'm sure it was just so trying and traumatic for her. Imagine if it were you, and not only are you in another country, and not only are you in that country's prison system, but you're in there for something that you didn't do. And you don't know if your appeal is going to go through, and you don't know if you're going to be spending the next 20 or 30 years of your life there. There goes your youth, at the time when you're supposed to be getting married and having children and building a career, All of that would have been down the drain for nothing. But I'm glad she's free. There was a Lifetime movie a year or so ago about it, and I watched it, and I really enjoyed the movie. So they'll probably be playing that movie again sometime soon. And I hope they come out with a new movie, to show the appeal process and all that. And I would love to see that. They deemed her as Foxy Knoxy back when she was first arrested or convicted. And I never really understand why, because, she's an okay-looking girl, but, she's just not what my interpretation of what a foxy person would be. But that's okay. I guess, it sounded good. And, that name is going to stick with her for the rest of her life. And as far as anything else in the news, the Michael Jackson murder trial. Conrad Murray, is on trial. And I've tried to watch it. Excuse me. But I just can't get any sense out of it. I just can't. And so I guess I'll just wait for that verdict to come in before I actually stay glued to the TV on that front. And as far as anything else, nothing else really has been going on in the news. Jim Schott, or whatever his name is, pardon moi, or the creator of Apple or whatever, the iPhone has died. So I see a lot of tributes on Facebook to him. I really don't know much about him, but, aside from what I've heard and this, that, and the other. So I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of tributes and a lot of YouTube videos about him. And as far as anything else going on in the news, I'm really surprised. I wonder if Casey Anthony is happy about all this going on in the news, because, it's taken her out of the limelight. And I can actually go a day, maybe 2, without hearing her name being spoke on the news. She's probably not too happy with that. You know, she wants to keep herself out there because she too wants to become a very wealthy woman. Some people used to say that she would become rich over this, but I don't think so anymore. I don't see it anymore. You know, I can see people not want to deal with her because of the publicity, and then it'll just die off, and she'll just go away, and that'll be the end. And I hope it happens like that, because she should not be make a profit off of everything that happened. And we all know that she's guilty, just the same way that we all knew OJ was guilty. So, but anyway, not sure how the Conrad Murray trial is going to turn out. Not sure if he'll be guilty or not guilty. Like I said, I can't really understand that, so I'm not really going to do a video about that or talk about that very much. But anyway, I just wanted to jump on here and fill you in about Amanda Knox in case that you haven't heard. And that's about all I have to say now. And until next time, bye-bye.